Sagittarius, welcome. It's Erin Scott here, and we are going to tap in like we did last month with a artistic channeling. This one. And we're tapping into your natural. This is the nature's evolutionary arc for the different signs. The different signs, egoic narrative. It's story arc of evolution. So for the now, for this Aquarius new moon cycle, mid-February to mid-March, what is the natural arc? What's coming up as your growth edge? So let's take a look. Now I'm recording this 2 days after. Actually, 2 days after, I guess. It's Sunday the 18th. And we had this on the 15th. So it's 3 days after the point. But it was a powerful point. So as you most of you know and remember, this was also the partial solar eclipse. And it is not only the arc of this month ahead, it's also the arc of the next 6-month portal of time. And the next year, there's a theme for the year, and also for the next 18-19 year cycle, for the next eclipse at the same generalized location. So it's a big time. It's a big time of new beginnings. And Friday, the 16th, we began our Chinese New Year of the Earth Dog. So Sag, new beginnings. New cycle, new energy, natural. This is just natural progression. Nature is self-organized. It is not random. That's a human-made myth. And it's stunning how many people really still hold that narrative. Life cannot be random. It's not random. It's self-organized. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I don't plan these in advance, I just kind of let the forms come. So let's just see what's coming. I'm gonna be quiet for a minute, and then we'll talk about it, okay? Grab a tea. Sag, I'm going to be doing some various kinds of art channelings in the future scopes as well. Not always graphite, charcoal, and pencil. It's going to be some different modes. We'll see what wants to come. It's going to depend on the month. I'm going to really just follow the call with it, I think. So Sag, you might hear some rain in the background. It's actually not even rain, it's melting snow. But it's coming down pretty hard now. We're having a little warm trend happening now. So you might hear some stuff happening in the back here. I will say that I hope you're all doing well. It has been a very powerful week. We had Valentine's Day, the beginning of Lent, merging with the beginning of Lent on Wednesday. Then we had this Aquarius new moon that was exceedingly highly aspected And for those of you who are not familiar with the dynamics of this particular new moon, which was exceedingly powerful, I do suggest that you learn about it. I also have a video posted on my channel about it. So if you go to my main page, you'll see the video. And I also talk about the Chinese New Year of the Earth Dog there as well. So yeah, and then we had Chinese New Year on Friday. Powerful, and the energies were intense. Mercury's been activated too with this portal. So communications, technology has been wild. It's been intense. It's been a bit oppressive, actually. So go with the flow of the cycle. You know, that's the cycle that's at hand. Learn from it. Learn where the stuckness is holding you and what it's having you inquire about or self-reflect about. There's also been a lot of stuff in the news, as you know, of late. Things are coming to a head. Things are coming to a head. Change is happening. It's occurring. Tipping points are being hit, and change is happening and imminent, exponentially so. It's a juicy time, to say the least. So Sag, let's talk about what's coming up, and I'll connect back in if there's something else that wants to come through. That'll come. Let's talk about what's coming though here. This is kind of interesting. I'm actually not sure yet what that is. Let's start with this chalice. This is like a grail. Like a chalice, and it's hard to see here because there was so much of the dark charcoal that I put in here, but this color inside is actually like a blue. It's this color blue, which is kind of like a teal. And so there's water in here. Ultimately, there water landed in the chalice. And then leaves growth like a plant, an organic growth of holding of your emotional waters, of your intuitive reality. So there's almost like an honoring, Sag, is what I get with you. Over the course of this mid-February 2018 to mid-March 2018 Aquarian new moon partial solar eclipse cycle, there's a new honoring of your emotional reality, honoring your emotional themes, narratives, what has meaning for you. Because what I'm doing is I'm connecting with the moon. Even though this doesn't, when I was drawing it, I wasn't thinking about the moon. It was just a sphere. It was in green, representing growth, and a face ended up on it, which we'll talk about. But what I'm picking up here, I have to tell you, is that for Sages, over the course of this cycle, this is front and center for you, everybody. I'm getting a lot of chills right now, too, is what I'll say. So this is, there's truth here to what I'm saying here. A lot of you, there's a big central honoring of your emotional narrative. What has meaning for you? The moon in your natal chart talks about what you're emotionally resonant with. What is your emotional foundations themed upon? What do you focus on? What is it that matters to you on a very deep emotional level? What do you connect with emotionally? You are honoring that. Now, there's something that's being activated within you that is a self-honoring, self-respect. You're holding it as your reality, and that's enough for you, okay? Now, there's some lines coming through here which we'll talk about, but with regards to this is talking about your emotional reality and also your intuitive knowing. I think for Sages, there's maybe less of self-doubt about what you know and more of a grounded holding. You know what you know, and you're honoring that. Intuitively, emotionally, there's more of an honoring. And it has this foundation here. So you can see that there's this kind of foundation, a platter, a tabletop that's holding this rooted reality here for you, okay? Now, this line came down here. Now, it's in this rusty color, this kind of rusty orange-brown color. It could represent something earthy, earth-based, foundations-based. Your home, your property, your car, something about your foundations. It could have perhaps something to do with financial security, but that's not necessarily what I'm picking up. But there's something about your foundations that feels skewed to you now. Skewed. So your reality, home, the reality of your logistics of your life right now. It could be your home and work and family, whatever it is that you feel creates your foundations, it's skewed. Your material reality might feel skewed now. However, you're honoring your knowing, you're honoring your wisdom, you're honoring your intuitive realities. So even though life might feel skewed to you, it's almost like you're saying, you know what, that only has so much meaning for me. Here I get like there's some discernment or some, with this brown line here, that's almost crossing it. It's going along with the line of this grail, but it's almost like it's a cross. So you're able to somehow discern, take this narrative and discern it down into the skewed reality. This is not going to be the case for all of you. Some of you are going to be more aligned with your skewed physical reality, the logistics of your life feeling off kilter, off base. However, for a lot of you, you're learning to trust this. You're learning to trust your own inner well of source. And it has a foundation. You know? Yes, does your physical reality kind of embrace this foundation here? Sure, it does. You know, we all are still connected to the banking system. We all need shelter and food and, you know, clean water. We need this stuff, right? But what I'm getting, Sag, is that even though your physical reality, and by the way, what I get from these little hooks here is that the skewed physical reality, even though it's a little bit off, it's still thick. Like you still are grounded. You still have a roof over your head. You know, you still have, let's say, your job or whatever it is that really is the foundations of your reality. It might feel off, but you still have it. And it's helping you hold trust in what your dreams are, what you know to be your truth, what you know to be your wisdom. You're tapping into a bigger wellspring of the self. And here, you know, it's interesting. I almost get that this is the moon for you. And I have to tell you, Sag, it might be that there's going to be a significant, let's say, happening or event happening for you with regards to this skewed foundation at the full moon. And I should have looked it up. In fact, let me look it up now. Let me pull my little journal here. This is my fabulous lunar pocket planner. It's wonderful. Let me look to see when the full moon is. So, It's happening on the 1st, everybody. So in March, we're having the full moon happen at 11 degrees Virgo, 11 degrees 23 minutes Virgo on the 1st of March, okay? So this is what I'll say, because this is mid-cycle. I've always worked with the new moon cycles when I do my readings, right? Because that's nature's cycle. It's a new boot. It's a new seed. It's a new time of narrative. It's a new time of evolutionary theme. That's just nature. So anyway, here is the midpoint. This is the full moon on the 1st of March. There might be some event. Be mindful. Honor your feelings. Honor your intuitions coming to you now. Because I think it's going to bring food for you with regards to whatever feels skewed in your reality. That's what I'll say. Now let's look up here, because here, to me, these represent dreams. It's in yellow. Yellow represents your will. It represents your persona, your personality, your vital life force, the eminence of your personality. But what I get, it's interesting because this only ended up being kind of, there's no form here really. It's just a blotch of color. But the interesting thing is it kind of fades in the background like we're looking into perspective, Sag. So it's almost like you have a dream for your foundations, because keep in mind, this is skewed foundations. By the way, trust your own insights that are coming up with this image. This is my own interpretation, but you're going to get other things that are going to be very applicable to your distinct narrative. But what I get is from this skewed foundation, you have dreams. 2 dreams that I see here specifically. One is unformed, one is formed. The one that is unformed has to do with your path forward. You want more joy, more ease, more optimism. Why do I say that? Because it's yellow. Yellow is representing a brighter, lighter, more optimistic perspective, path. I see more ease and joy here. So overall, for your path forward, and I'm getting some chills here, for your foundations, you want ease on your path. You want your foundations to be set. You don't want to struggle. And nobody does. It's not like I'm saying anything unusual here, but for you, for this cycle, this is a theme. For this particular theme, for this cycle, this is your narrative of growth. So you are to dream, and you're going to be dreaming, right? So this is kind of saying, let yourself dream about your future. Get specific with it too. So for your path forward, you want ease. You want joy, right? For your path, for your foundation ahead. Here, this is reminding me of a tulip. This, I felt like I was drawing a tulip here, even though it's not really a tulip leaf, you know. But I'm getting that it's kind of a tulip. Okay? And for me, tulip obviously is going to have some symbology, which I'll look up and I'll actually put in the description here, or I'll put it underneath the video. But you can also look that up. Tulip. For me, tulip is kind of a spring Easter flower. And it's yellow. Again, optimistic and joyful. For me, it's a bloom. It's a result. It's some manifested reality. So you are dreaming about a generalized path ahead of peace and joy, but also something else. Something specific about your bloom. How you are manifesting yourself as tulip. So I'll put the description either here on the video or down below. Okay, Sag, let's pull a card for you. As I used to do for my alchemy scopes in the past, I would typically pull a Carolyn Mace archetype card to pull up the growth edge. What is it that you are called to naturally mature over the course of this particular cycle? For Sagittarius, Aquarius new moon cycle, empowered by the partial solar eclipse and the heavily aspected reality of it. Night. Interesting, because Prince, this popped out for you. Night is the growth. Prince just popped out for a sign that I just did a reading for. So Night, this is about evolving out of an allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, and an allegiance to romantic delusions. It's about moving into and evolving into loyalty, romance, and chivalry, and a love of honor. There's a purity to the advanced evolved knight. There is an allegiance to delusion and destruction with this. So this is about evolving how you show up, right? Beautiful. So Sag, and indeed what we'll say is this is a love of honor, loyalty, romance, and chivalry. Certainly the Grail here can talk about love. It can talk about romance. And by the way, it also talks, because the Grail refers to Avalon, you know, the Knights of the Round Table. So there is something here to the Grail. There is something with regards to love, Sag. You know, so your emotional, intuitive knowing, your realities within, you're rooting that, you're honoring that. But there's also something with love, and I think, to be honest, this is about self-love. There's a self-honoring that I feel is happening with Sag, maybe at a newfound level. Okay, so I'm sending you so much love. For those interested in learning about my holosynthesis work, I invite you to go to my website, which is the alchemyofholism.com, and you can reach me there if you have any questions. Otherwise, you can see my services available. Astrological insights that are quite deep, that get to the root of your wound sets, of your growth edges, of your mastery trajectories, and all kinds of other work. So I invite you to check it out. I'm sending you much love for your month ahead. Breathe, love yourself unconditionally, unabashedly, and I'll see you next month. Bye-bye.